Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
The phenomenon of the black-eyed children. Imagine this. You and your better half are on your way home after a late night out on the town. You pull into a convenience store and you wait in the car while he runs in for something. You're sitting there in the dark waiting for him to return, when suddenly you get an inexplicable, overwhelming feeling of terror. You sit up a little straighter and glance toward the driver's side window. There staring in at you are two children, but not just any children. These are black-eyed children, and they want to get into the car with you. Sounds like something from a horror movie? Well, it's not. It's as real as it gets. According to David Weatherly, a paranormal investigator and author who has written a book called Black-Eyed Children, incidents or visitations by these strange children are occurring worldwide. They have one simple request: they want to come in. They appear on doorsteps, at car windows, hotel rooms, and even boats. Witnesses report these weird children asking to come into the house to use the phone, or for a ride home because they're lost or they forgot something. They speak in a demanding monotone, and regardless of what is said to them, they don't say much more than "let us in. We won't hurt you. This won't take long." Weatherly says there are thousands of reported sightings of these black-eyed children. Sometimes they travel in pairs, sometimes in groups, and sometimes you'll see just one. They knock on doors and tap on windows all over the world, asking to be let in. Their most outstanding feature is their solid black eyes completely void of color or light, showing no pupils, no irises. Witnesses say looking into these eyes evokes intense feelings of terror. Could they be wearing black contact lenses? Weatherly agrees that this may be true in some cases. However, black lenses covering the entire surface of the eye would not only be expensive, but extremely uncomfortable. These strange black-eyed children, who can appear or vanish at a moment's notice, seem to be between the ages of 8 and 16. Their skin is pale or pasty-colored, described by some as looking plastic or artificial, and their mannerisms are odd. Witnesses describe their clothing as odd and drab, blue jeans and a hoodie, or very old-fashioned handmade clothing. Bizarre electrical phenomena occurs when they are around, such as a garage door inexplicably opening. When a man in Dallas arrived home, he saw a boy at his door who repeated, "I think it's food time. You should invite me inside." The man's protective pit bull came running toward the front door, but as it got closer to the boy, it whimpered and ran away, hiding under the bed for days afterward. A man named Paul was home alone when someone knocked on this door. He opened it and saw two kids about 10 years old standing on his steps with their heads down. They said, "Hey, we just thought we'd stop in for a bit." The kids insisted they be let into the house. Thinking they had the wrong house, Paul stepped forward to get a better look and made eye contact. Their eyes were solid black, including the sclera. Jason Offutt, another researcher into the black-eyed children phenomenon, gives this account. Around 10:45 on a warm night, as 18-year-old Karis Holdsworth approached her apartment in Lisburn, Northern Ireland, she saw two teenagers in hoodies and jeans standing in her yard with their backs to her. As she attempted to slip away unseen, she fumbled in her purse for pepper spray. At that very moment, the boys turned to face her, and as if reading her mind, one said, "No need for that. We just want to borrow your phone, miss." When she caught a glimpse of their pitch-black eyes, not a trace of white or a pupil, she panicked and raced to her apartment, locking the door behind her. The boys following close behind knocked on her door. She ignored it. After a second knock, fearing for her safety, she phoned a friend to come over. When the friend arrived, the boys ran away. What exactly is this growing phenomenon? Who are these sinister-appearing black-eyed children? Are they interdimensional beings who feed off the energy of fear they create? Are they alien-human hybrids? Are they demonic entities? Are they simply a modern urban legend born of the computer age? Weatherly believes they may have some sort of demonic origin, because in some reports these black-eyed children vanish into thin air, and some witnesses report a run of bad luck after an encounter with these children. The world starts to get more like a horror movie.
be around 14 or 15. Around about 10 p.m. on a school night, parents are downstairs watching a film. I'm upstairs browsing the internet. The doorbell rings. I look down to see a girl in a light brown hoodie with one of those furry hoods. She rings the doorbell a few more times. My mom answers. She apparently says, "I want to come in to use the phone." She's in her pajamas under the hoodie. My mom says, "Okay," but my dad quickly gets involved. She's hiding her face, and my parents told me later from what they saw, she was completely white. She mutters something about having an argument. She insists on using the phone. My dad tells her to try another house. She turns away. My parents never saw her come down the street even though they had the curtains open. Even weirder, when I watched her run away, she seemed to be being followed by a black cat.
Holy shit. I didn't know this was an actual thing. B yesterday, home alone playing World of Warcraft. Hear the doorbell ring. Go to the door and look outside the window. 2 young girls on the doorstep, both dressed in black, old-timey looking dresses. They look about 9 or 10 years old. Open door thinking they are selling cookies. Normal subdivision. Have Girl Scouts come by occasionally. Ask them what they're selling. Both staring at the ground. The taller girl asks if they can come in. I told them that I didn't know them and asked where their parents were. The taller girl says again, "May we come inside? It's too cold out here." My head begins to spin a little bit, almost like a quick bit of dizziness. Strikes me as odd because it's almost 80 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Again, I ask where their parents were. The taller girl looks up at me and without any change in tone tells me, "Let us inside now." Notice completely black eyes. I proceed to scream like I'm in a scary movie and slam the door shut. Immediately lock the door and back up the stairs to go get my shotgun. Hear the doorbell ring again as I'm backing up the stairs. Frightened half to death now. Grab my shotgun and sit at the top of the stairs facing the door. The doorbell rings about 4 more times. I yell for them to get, and that if they come inside, I will kill them. Sit there for about an hour facing the door. My wife comes through the front door home from work. I nearly shot her. She asks what I'm doing. Claim I was cleaning my gun. She gives me a weird look and goes to the kitchen to make dinner. I walk out the front door and look around a little bit and don't see them around. I thought I was going schizophrenic until I read this thread.
I've had this happen too. I live in Bristol, UK. I used to wait for my then girlfriend to finish work at 10 in Queen Square, Bristol. Basically, an old cobbled square with a large grassy area. Sitting in the car, waiting. It's dark. It's winter. All lights off, just sitting listening to music through headphones. I see this girl, maybe 9 or 10, skipping along the pavement, maybe 40 meters away. Figure it's not too late for a family outing, and it's right near the center of town. Wait, looking for a mother to follow her. Nothing. Watch this girl skipping along, getting further away. Hear tapping on my passenger side window. Turn and face the window, filled with sudden fear, instant goosebumps and nausea. The little girl that was skipping is standing outside my car, staring into my eyes, all black. She tells me to let her in. I stare back. She knocks again and tells me to let her in. I start my car and start to pull away. She changes from knocking with her knuckles to slapping with her palm. As I pull away, her hand slides along the car, desperately. She steps out into the road behind me. I drove once around the square for about 45 seconds. Get back to where I was. She was gone. I didn't feel right all evening, and I told my girlfriend at the time as well. We got a Chinese takeaway to make me calm down.
Hey/X/. Been lurking this thread for some time now, though I didn't seem to have anything related to share with you. Taking a shower 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I know it was time. I had this flashback of an early experience. Be me. Around 5 or 6 years old. I used to get up really early at that age. My brother used to sleep in every day. Each morning playing quietly to not wake him up as we were sharing a room. The apartment has a big balcony. You could enter the room me and my used to live in from there, through a big glass door. We share the balcony with our neighbors, but ours is the only flat with direct access. The other families have to go through the staircase to get there. Usually the staircase to balcony door is locked because we had some thieves entering our flat through there. I live on the second floor, so there is no other way to get up there. Still be me. Wake up at round 5 in the morning, still a little dark outside. Play some good old Game Boy. Hear a tapping on the glass door. Get up to have a look. 2 children about my age standing outside. 1 boy, 1 girl. Open the door. Ask what they are doing out there. Girl says, "We are hungry. Can we come inside?" I said, "No, sorry, my brother is still sleeping, and we must not wake him up." "We are hungry, please." Me feeling sorry for the kids. I think maybe they woke up just as early as I did. Maybe they live with the family 1 flat above ours. Never seen them before, though. My memories are a little blurry. I had almost forgotten it totally. Being a child, I'm open-minded. Tell them to drop by later to play when my brother is awake. The boy nods and the girl states, "Okay, but now we are hungry. Can you help us?" Not asking, just saying it monotonically. Start feeling uncomfortable, still want to make friends. Tell them, "I can't let you in as everyone is still asleep, but let me have a look in the fridge." Think about the cake. Both say nothing, just keep standing, right outside the door. Insecure, close the door in front of them. They just stand there, don't move a single inch, even though the door closes half an inch in front of their faces. Proceed to turn around, getting really creeped, because they just keep standing and looking, not staring, just looking at me. Proceed to head to the kitchen. The door to our room was on the other side of the room, but parallel to the balcony door. Feel uncomfortable exiting the room. Decide to have another look at them. Both are gone. Nope the fuck out. Head back to bed. Tell myself they were just pranking me, playing hide and seek or stuff. Long story short, after the first incident this happened a few more times. Sometimes I just acted while sleeping at that age. I didn't feel too uncomfortable about the fact that there were strange, hungry, disappearing children on my balcony. I just thought they might be bored or lonely, maybe both. So one day I decided to try to make friends again. Hear knock. Get up, see children. About 5:30. Bored myself, so why not play with them? Go to the door, open up, start talking to them. They give short answers, remaining a motionless expression. The girl talks while the boy just stands behind her, watching me. I feel uncomfortable under his gaze, so I try talking to him directly, as he didn't say anything so far. Ask him for his name and why he is so quiet. "Don't bother, he won't talk to you. He never does to anyone." Meh. Ask the girl then, "What are your names anyway?" No answer from her. Ask, "Do you live in the apartment above?" No. "So how did you get up here?" "We walked. Being a child, not very concerned about laws of physics. Tell them if they want to play something." Girl shakes her head. "So what do you want from me then?" "We want to eat, please. If you don't run off, I can see and maybe bring you something." The girl tilts head, says something like, "You wouldn't find what we are looking for. Just let us come in so we can eat." Damn, this is getting weird. "Already told you you can't get in this early. Come back when my family is awake. Maybe we can have breakfast together if you want." "No, we want to eat now." "If you are so hungry, why don't you go home to eat?" "Go where?" "Home." The girl turns around to look at the boy. Both just stand there for a few seconds. The girl turns back around. "I think we better leave now." Okay. Yet they just keep standing there, looking inside. I wonder if there still may be anything they want to say, but they don't. Wait a minute, then slowly close the door. Same as last time, they just keep standing outside, though the door is shut half an inch in front of the girl's face. Go back to bed, playing Game Boy. Feeling a little creeped, eventually I sat up on the bed to look at the glass door again. Why was I even surprised when the kids were gone again? The strange thing is there was no way to get up the balcony, nor was it possible to get down, without someone unlocking the door to the staircase from the inside of the house. As my memories are blurry, I can't really say whether they had black eyes or not, but it seems quite similar to the black-eyed kid stories. And there was definitely something scary about their looks. I don't remember looking them straight in the eyes at any time. Some side facts. None of the families living in our complex had any kids younger than 14. Dreamed about them several times, but blurry too. I am pretty sure I have seen them a few more times since. Not anymore around my place, but I swear I have seen that little girl, about 10 years later, at the same age she was back then. She was standing in a crowded place as I passed by with the bus. She even turned her head after the bus. I am sure she saw me too.
Our family has an infamous story about a child like this. Be the 60s. My grandma has just married and is expecting a child, my mum. Grandpa is at work. My grandma is home alone doing some housework. The doorbell rings. My grandma answers to see a little girl wearing a white polka dot dress. "Can I come in? I'm lost." My grandma welcomes her in. "Where's your mom or dad?" "I don't know. Can I sit down? I'm feeling a little poorly." She sat down and started coughing horribly. My grandma went to get her some water. When she came back, the little girl was gone. My grandma hears giggling from upstairs. She walks into the room that was going to be my mum's room. The girl and her twin are there playing with some random toys. One of the girls turns to my grandma and says, "I like it here. Can we stay forever and ever?" My grandma is in a state of shock. She grabs the two girls and tosses them outside. They continued ringing the doorbell and knocking on the door. Grandma shut herself in her room for the rest of the day. The girls were never to be seen again. The neighbors said they never even saw a little girl wandering the street.
From another website. I have read many accounts of these black-eyed kids, but I don't think any really come close to what happened to me when I let two into my house. Some people think that if you let them in, that they will kill you. Obviously, I can say this is not true. This is what happened. I was sitting in my bedroom at home when I heard a knock on the door. It was not too late, so I didn't hesitate opening the door to whoever it was. When I opened it, there were two children standing there. Both were looking at the floor. "Yes," I said. The taller one asked if they could come in as they were lost, and the other boy needed the toilet. I live in an area where it is very easy to get lost, so I just assumed that they were telling the truth and were looking down because they were shy, even though the one talking spoke very confidently. So I let them in. The one who needed the toilet just walked in and straight up the stairs, so I shouted up, "It's on the right." I don't know why I didn't find this strange, but most toilets are upstairs, and as he was young, I didn't think anything of it. I told the other one that the phone was down the hall. "Thanks," he said, and he started to walk down the hall. I followed him, and then I suddenly came over with a really awful feeling like something bad was going to happen. I became very nervous and a bit shaky. I still can't explain how that happened. The boy stopped at the phone and paused. "Everything okay?" I asked. He turned to me and looked up, and that's when I saw his eyes. And trust me, I will never get that picture out of my head. I was so scared that I couldn't even scream as I turned to run down the hall where the other kid was standing at the end. I became very dizzy and struggled to stand up. He walked closer to me and said that they had been sent to collect me. I still couldn't bear to look into his face. I pushed away from him and ran into my front room and slammed the door shut. I was in so much shock about what was happening I couldn't think straight. This is something that you don't even expect to happen even in movies. After standing against the door for around an hour or so, I finally got the courage to make a run for the back door, so I ran to it and unlocked it. I ran to the back of my garden and jumped over the fence, not once looking back. My friend lived close, so I ran to his house. I told him the story, and as I guessed, he was a bit skeptical about what I had said. I convinced him to come back with me. When we got there, we looked around the whole house but couldn't find them. Ever since this happened, I always have a dream that these kids with the black eyes stand over my bed with their hands stretching to me. I hope to God that I never see them again.
Be me, living in an old rustic-style house out in the sticks. No one for miles. Suddenly a knock comes at the door. Open and see two children, one boy, one girl standing there. Both look disheveled and unkempt. Both looking at the ground. WTF, because I live in the country. They ask if they can come in. Sure. pour them a cup of tea and biscuits, and proceed to have an interesting chat about current affairs. Notice that they both have jet black eyes halfway through a sip of my tea. The tea comes exploding out of my mouth all over them. I remember reading about black-eyed kids online. Kid asks, "Is something wrong?" I compose myself and continue chatting as if nothing happened. Kids finish their tea and leave. My house burns down the next day.
Confirmed story here. Last week, whatever May 23rd is, school let out for me. I was doing nothing but sitting on my ass playing Han. Around May 26-ish, it's about 8 or 9 p.m. reading a trophy guide for Uncharted when there's a knock on my window. My room's at the front of the house, and I see 4 kids through the blinds. I can't be too exact, but I can guesstimate that the oldest was 14 tops, youngest was IDK 9 or something. 3 guys with a girl. The girl was doing the talking for them. She had a slightly deeper tone than I imagined for a 9-year-old. Memory's a tad bit hazy, but my conversation goes like this. "Hi, let us come inside. What do you need?" "I need to use your phone." Okay, where are your folks? Don't you have a phone?" "No, mister, we need to come inside so we can call mom." At this point, I let them all in, which left me a bit skeptical. I led them to the kitchen and living room. Brother and mom are on the couch, and mom asks me in Spanish who they are. The second oldest kid makes a phone call while I was making small talk with my brother. Kids are all sitting on the dinner table. After a couple minutes, the little guy on the phone passes our phone to the girl. She talks on the phone when my brother comments on one of the kids' really dark eyes. I don't think it was black, but it was certainly a really dark shade. Didn't think much of it. The boy who was on the phone earlier gives me an awkward hug and says, "Thank you, mister. Can you lead us out?" The little girl is still on the phone. Feeling like I was a really good guy, I was like, sure. So I took the 3 boys out, and the same kid said thank you again, then left. I called out to them. They forgot the little girl. I called out to them for like 10 seconds before I started walking towards them to stop them when something caught on my pants loop and stopped me. "Here you go, mister. Thank you for everything," I smiled. Like a fool, and I noticed her eyes were a really dark shade of gray, like really, really dark. I guess they both wore some special tinted contacts or something because I have green ones myself. I told her the general direction of where they went, and she nodded, then said thank you again, then walked on. I noticed she was going the wrong way after like 30 steps and sorta said in an audible bot-yelling voice that she's heading the wrong way. It didn't seem she heard me, so I said it louder and closed the door. Her problem, not mine, I figured. I go back to the kitchen to call the parents and tell them our address. Weird thing was, the phone had no new calls. What do you think, X? If they did something bad, I can't tell what it is, though my brothers have been in his room a lot more lately. May or may not be related.
I'm pretty sure they're aliens. I don't think they're kids at all either, just short aliens. And the ones who look more like teens might be alien-human hybrids or another, for lack of a better term, ethnic group of the same species, one with more tall genes.
Be back in 2011, working a late shift for some extra cash at a pizza place, closing down shop for the night. Only one there. The only sign someone is in the store is the music, and me moving about as I clean, here banging on the front door. We've been closed for like 2 hours. Go up front. Teenage girl with pitch black eyes staring at me. Let me in. Sorry, we're closed. I need to use the phone. Let me in. I can't. I'm sorry. Now, I need to come in. Let me in. Try the Walmart. They're open 24 hours. Let me in. Now. The entire time I'm about ready to piss my pants. Finally tell her I'm going to call the cops if she doesn't leave. She stands there, watching me clean for 15 minutes in silence, before I see her finally walk away.
Black-eyed airline passenger. I retired in 1999, and a few years before retiring, crews were needed to man domestic flights. In reality, I only flew international, mainly to Asia. I was the senior crew member, and the flight destination was LaGuardia, New York. It was a turn, meaning flight 6 inches was 7 inches on the return. The layover was to be about 40 minutes. It is customary to be briefed by the captain on weather conditions, their meal preferences, and flight time. I offered pre-flight beverages, making coffee with cream and getting 2 cans of Coke and Aqua for the other 2 pilots. I squeezed past 2 passengers getting off the aircraft. I glanced up just in time to see a late-arriving passenger, noting his well-appointed leather jacket, pants and shoes all were nice complementary shades of brown. His haircut was in the European cut, with tendrils on the nape, instead of the precise American haircut. I froze as I looked into his eyes. They were black in entirety. He looked European or a light Arabian. I don't remember seeing the white part of his eyes. I sniffed hard in fear and told the pilots as I gave them their drinks, "We got a weird one on board, sir." The macho old captain lolled around and said, "Is he bothering anyone?" "Negative." Here comes the cutesy blonde who had been taking tickets. She puffs, "We're full. And by the way, we got us a weird one with green eyes on board," and he asked who was the chief flight attendant. Meanwhile, the gal in the back was making coffee, etc. And her final pre-flight is to give me an accurate count of passengers. I noticed as she gave me the information of 2 empty seats. Meant full -2 passengers, no babies. She was tight-lipped and pale white-looking. No colour whatsoever in her face. She then announced, "There's a man in." I added 6F, and she answered, "Yes! He has the strangest blue eyes." The cockpit door closes and we are latched down for departure. I give the safety announcements, and I'm noticing that the 4th girl keeps looking back at me, and she is trembling. I finish, and she returns to sit with me on the jump seat. That man is very scary. I am so afraid. I was very frightened too, ready to pee my pants. I laid my arm on the door ledge and watched out for the porthole and wondered if we would survive this trip. The feeling was unanimous with the other girls, and we were on total edge. I was pondering why each of us thought his eyes were a different colour. I didn't like this. We were spooked to the 9th degree. I told the captain something isn't right about this man. It was then we realised that the passengers who had seats next to him had gotten off the flight. I made the girls do the breakfast service and told them, "Do nothing else but remain on high alert and stay in the back." New York flights are very noisy. This day there was absolute silence. Nobody rang for us. There was a great sense of doom. We were so distressed that the captain put on his hat to come out for a look. The passengers closed his eyes and appeared to be sleeping. We landed without ado. A matter of fact, the airplane emptied in a world record time of about 2 or 3 minutes. This man was coming, and the captain was saying goodbye. I refused and hopped back into the galley. I whispered, "Here he comes," and I watched the captain as all the colour drained from his face. When the man passed out the door, the captain said, "Wow, whoa, that was a strange man." I said, "Captain, he's not through with us. He's coming back on our flight, and if he does, I'm off this flight right now." Captain pushed that, and sure enough, I followed at a not too close distance to see where that man went. I didn't see him. I sat down in the boarding area behind a pillar and waited, because I saw his bags, one on the floor and a hefty one on the seat, and it was wide open with all kinds of camera, radios, and other quite sellable items if stolen. Nobody touched that bag. Momentarily, I saw him coming, and he got right in line for a return trip to Chicago. I flew to the phone and informed the passenger agents that this man just came in on our flight and no way should he be allowed back on our flight. If he was, I was out of here. I won't tell of the steps taken to prevent him from the return, but we were on edge until the doors were latched down and we were taxiing into takeoff.
Dave Schrader on the radio show Darkness on the Edge of Town has had Weatherly on several times. Also, from time to time, he has nights dedicated to call-ins or emails sent to him from listeners, and many of them are from people who claim they ran into black-eyed kids. Last night's new show featured the second story I've ever heard where the kids were let into the house. The first story I can remember hearing where one was let into the house was about a girl in her home with a group of friends. A boy in a hoodie showed up at the back door located in the kitchen. The girl couldn't understand how he could have gotten there since the house was elevated and the back porch was under construction, and you would have to have climbed up a ladder to get to the door. Yet somehow this black-eyed kid got up there. He asked to be let in because he was hungry, but the girl didn't know him, so she said no. He left. But later, the girl entered the kitchen and found this black-eyed kid sitting at the table eating a sandwich. She asked what he was doing there, and he looked at her and she saw his eyes. They were black. She ran back to the living room to her friends and found out one of her friends let him in thinking he was a friend of hers. They all went back to the kitchen where he was just sitting there looking at them with those black eyes. She told him she didn't invite him and she didn't want him there. The boy just smiled, got up, and then went out the back door. After a few seconds, the girl and a friend of hers quickly ran to the door and looked outside to see where the boy was. He was gone. Did he jump off the broken porch? They went outside and this kid vanished.
I have a kind of out there theory about the black-eyed kids, but this is /X/, so here I go. Vampires. Perhaps they did exist. They'd kill their victims on the street or gain permission to enter their home and slay them there, but the vampires can only do this for so long before people begin to catch on. People no longer roam the streets at night or answer their door when the moon rises. So what do vampires do now? They use a different method to kill their prey. They use children. Kids will trust anyone, so what if the vampires took these kids and bound them together, projected their thoughts into the child's mind, which changed their eyes so they see what vampires see, which is the doors to the victims' homes? Adults will always feel sorry for a starving or lost child and will no doubt let them into their home, and because the children are bound with the vampires, they too have received the permission. Perhaps vampires don't exist anymore, but these children are still roaming the streets, asking to be let into the homes of what they believe to be their master's food. That's what I think. But who knows?
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.